We got some smiles. We got smiles coming back. That's good. Hopefully that was helpful. I get a lot of requests. Hey, I'd like to meet other folks in the group, so hopefully that helped. Mark, you're cracking up. Did I miss something in that room?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Marty, Todd, and I, so we were laughing about.
All right, we know each
we
other.
knew each other.
Oh man, well, give Mark a referral for selling real estate. So, all right, and that also makes our time a little bit more efficient. So for today, again, focus is going to be on. Let me just jump over here. Creating an abundance mindset. So lots of discussion, a couple of breakouts. Let me just get you guys reorganized on my screen here really quickly so I can see everybody or almost everybody. And, you know, when we start to think about it, I'm going to actually throw like a wet blanket on what we're talking about. We're going to go back to to breakouts in a few moments. But think about, you know, what happens day to day in our lives. There's a lot of, you know, whether it's positive news, negative news, there's a lot of things that go on around us and they impact us. You know, we each receive those messages a little bit differently. And, you know, the first question is, you know, are we checking our feelings? Are we looking at how do we see things happening? So, for example, you know, your neighbor drives up in $100,000 sports car, and I don't want anybody to answer any questions just yet. You know, how does that make you feel? Yeah, actually, your friend returns. I must have had hospital in my mind because somebody had actually just said that they were going into the hospital. So your friends return from a 4th vacation this year. It's August. They've already been on 4 different vacations. You've got a sales colleague. We hear this one pretty frequently. Your sales colleague is blowing the doors off the results, and we're sitting here trying to figure out how we're going to get our next opportunity. What's kind of going through our minds? And what are some of the things that we say? You're driving, you know, you're driving down the street. We know, my wife and I were driving by a house the other day, maybe about 1.5 miles. It's got to be minimum of 8,000 square feet going up. It is a monstrous, beautiful looking home. And how do we react to that? We all have different statements. And then on the negative side of things, summertime, different units are going out, different appliances. Maybe our AC is struggling, whatever it is. But it's the 3rd one that's happened. You know, the 3rd time this month that I've had an appliance go down. What are our reactions? So Marty, you're smiling, but I'm curious. I don't want anybody necessarily to jump into the mindset of, hey, here's where I go. But think about people that you know. And think about different folks out there and how they respond when they see some of these things happening to them.
You want me to answer?
Sure, jump right in. Yeah, you can jump in. Anybody can jump in.
Well, Scott's air conditioning went a couple of weeks ago, and he jumped into action pretty quickly because it was hot as hell, and found a friend of a friend that was an HVAC guy, and he was able to get worked into the schedule pretty quickly and got his AC fixed. So I think from a perspective of how you check your feelings, you know, if we're in the profession of sales and we're supposed to be movers and shakers, that's what we're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's not a good thing if you start to wallow in stuff. You need to either compartmentalize it and push it to the side, or, you know, work through it to get the results that you're looking for.
Fair. Yeah. Let's get 1 or 2 more comments on this. What are some other things? You know, Scott, that wasn't the 3rd appliance that broke down in your house, I don't think, or at least it's the only one you share with us. But we know people when they've got a couple of things go wrong in their lives, how do they respond? Frank, you're on mute.
Yeah, people put a positive or negative spin on it, depending on how they're feeling.
Yeah, and what does that negative spin sound like?
Always me.
It could be the woe is me. Oh God, you know, another appliance broken. Or, you know, the upbeat person would say, well, things happen at 3, so good. I'm finally done with this nonsense. You know, I'm moving on.
That's why I picked the 3. Yeah, things happen in 3s. I'm done. Let's move on.
Good. Wow. I'm glad that's behind
Game.
me. You know, and the negative person is like, oh, what's going to break next? Oh my God.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Kevin.
Or the blame game is another big one. Like, can't believe that person did that to me. I can't believe, it's not, I didn't do it. Some other circumstance caused it when it really, I screwed that up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kevin.
Two things. One is, the ones with the, somebody with the $100,000 car or the 8,000 square foot house. We're talking about emotional responses here more than anything. And the big ugly one there is envy. And it's a really good idea when you catch yourself being envious to think about it and realize that it's an opportunity to practice gratitude and be thankful for your friend having it and be happy for them. And because that's what you should be, is happy for your friend who does well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the thing with the colleague doing well, my accountability partner for a number of years um, was also a Sandler trainer, and we were very even with where our business was at the time. And there were weeks that he would have a better week than I would, and weeks that I'd have a better week than he would. And sometimes he'd have a better week than I would 2 weeks in a row. But hell would freeze over if I'd let that happen 3 times in a row.
Right. There you go. There you go.
Because but I see that as different. It wasn't that I wasn't happy for him, because I genuinely like and love him. I wish him all the success in the world, but it was just it got my competitive juices flowing, and I didn't think that was a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, jump in.
That's where I was going with this. The difference between comparison and competition. If you're going to compare yourself to people, that can be really negative, have a really negative impact. But if you use it as fuel and competition, then it can really be a great thing. So, and just remember, the $100,000 car might come with an $80,000 loan. So it's not always what it seems.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And if we start to think about some of these things, so I was going to send you guys the breakout rooms, but I think that there's a manageable group here. Think about the one, whether it's a sales colleague or somebody else that in sales who's really doing well. And I want you to try to take yourself out of the moment so we can get some, I don't want to apply it to anybody in the room, but what do we sometimes do in those moments? I'm trying not to give up the answer, so I know it's a tough question. Hey, John Boris is doing awesome. Boy, by the way, John is awesome. So let me start out by that. But what do other sales folks start to do behind John's back and say?
Oh yeah, a lot of hate talk. You mean like just being a hater?
And Mark, tell us about being a hater.
People are talking bad about me?
John, nobody talks about you. That's why I use you as the example.
I don't know. I'll use an example. Yeah, I mean, years ago when I worked for a company, I'd be doing extremely well, and there'd be talks, from other people where, oh, he's kissing up to the boss, or that type of stuff. That's happened to me personally in the past and yeah, like they'll just come up with excuses as to why why these people are succeeding when really, they're putting in the work and things are happening. So
yeah. So those excuses start to pop up. Todd, you were going to jump in?
Well, it's absolutely correct. I mean, what people want to do is come up with another reason, not that absolves them of not doing their job. Like, they always get the good accounts. If I had those accounts, hey, man, I'd be doing great too. Or, wow, this guy's just so lucky. He makes calls and these things just work out. It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Todd and Steven, and then Todd.
So last year, if I hit my goal, I decided I was going to buy a used sports car. And one day I drove the car to the office, and I was in an office with like 10 people, and someone looked out the window and said, "Wow, that's effing amazing." And I didn't even say it was mine because I didn't even want any of that blowback. So I was just like, and I didn't buy it for them, and I didn't buy it for ego. I bought it, for my own reasons, not as a show off. So it's so interesting that sometimes you even hide your success because you don't want that.
Mhm.
And there are times I go to my friends' houses and I'll park it a block away just so I don't even have to, right? I bought it for me, for my internal reasons. And I don't even want any of the negative connotations of that. So that shows how powerful the negative can be, that you even avoid showing, right?
Yeah, I grew up with that evil eye thing. You know what I mean? You're like the whole evil eye. Don't tell me what you're doing. I'll tell you what you're getting because you get that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Todd Felix, you were going to jump in. What were you going to say?
Well, I have the Jewish mother syndrome. So, first instinct is to be almost envious or resentful. How did that happen? Or, why is it happening to them and not to me? Or what can I do? Or what should I have done differently? Or I worked this hard and it didn't happen for me the way it should have. For other people, why are they getting the attention I'm not? Or whatever that might look like. But from a leader standpoint, it's the old adage where you can't speak of your successes, you just have to show them and really put your money where your mouth is, walk the walk, talk the talk, walk the walk type of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just given an objective, you just have to crush it, but then be humble about it.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I think all good stuff. And if we go back a few weeks ago, Bob introduced the carbon triangle, the idea of persecutor, victim, and rescuer. Oftentimes, what I'm hearing from you guys is we will put ourselves into that victim status. Oh, Frank gets all the good leads. Oh, the boss really loves Meg. That's why things are going well. Marty, everything just falls into his lap. And all of a sudden we put ourselves into that victim state. We've got to look, and are we thinking, hey, what can I do differently? And Kevin mentioned something about being, I think it was gratitude was the word that you used, but gracious and being thoughtful about, hey, if other people are being successful, how do I get into that mindset? How do I get on that bandwagon to move it to the next level? I want to stay with this screen again. I was going to send you guys to breakouts, but I like the conversation here. I like this one. You drive by a house that someone is building and it's 8,000 square feet. And Denver, I look at you and the folks that you work with. I see Frank's iPad is here, so I think that Frank works with you. But you guys are probably driving to all different types of homes, sizes, cost. And Denver, I'm not putting you on the spot, so you don't have to answer. But when we drive by that big house, and maybe again, I want to move it away from you. What do some people say as they're driving up to those big houses?
Well, it's a little bit of a have and have not situation. You're instantly doing that comparison thing. You see what someone has, and you know do the Venn diagram of what you have, and see how you can relate and how you are envious. Personally, I see it as a big opportunity for a big sale. So, that's just my bias from my world that I'm in.
Yeah.
I agree. There's someone who can afford sales training.
Yeah.
Regardless of what they do, Denver.
I don't care what they do. They can afford us.
Yeah.
Mark, what were you going to say?
Yeah, you see a lot of that on like social media, right? Like where these people, will post on whether it be a car or a new house, and they call it for inspiration purposes only. And to some people that works, that's a driving factor, and it motivates them to do better. And then there are other people that there's the whole keeping up with the Joneses type thing. Well, that. So I don't know. I like to celebrate everybody, man. I'm in the like celebrate everybody's wins. My time will come. Keep putting in the work. I think the 76ers had that thing. Joel Embiid, trust the process, right? So trust the process, and it'll work out. So
Yeah.
Hey, Dave.
Jump in, Lyle.
I got a different point of view. Like when I hear people that I work with are doing really well, I try to talk to them. And it's like, what are you doing? That's what I try to find. What are you doing? How do I copy that? And maybe what works for them can work for me, or give me an idea. But and that's my point of view.
It's interesting, Lyle, that you chimed in here because Lyle and I work together, and Lyle's often saying things like, and I'll make it up. Oh, we just closed a loan for $1 million, or they don't need a loan, they're putting $2 million down on the home. And there's those moments where there's a lot of folks out there, and if you observe other folks, and some of us probably have some of this within us, we start to challenge, hey, how do they do it? Wouldn't it be nice? How am I ever going to get there? Oh, they're part of the favored crowd. And it really comes back to our mindset. Are we thinking, hey, can we learn? Can we have gratitude? Can we look out for everybody else? And might that help change our self-limiting beliefs? Because if Steven Zeiger, he went out and bought that sports car. And actually, he had told me and had it on his vision board or his goals. He knew exactly what he was doing. But I want to be part of that process. I don't want to knock him down. But if I don't believe for a moment that I can get there, I'm injecting self-limiting beliefs into my world. Creates a tremendous problem in what's going to happen to me, my sales results, and more importantly, somebody kind of shared a little bit about this. Success is defined by you. I think it was Mark. I think you said, hey, keeping up with the Joneses. And actually you moved through my screen. So what pattern interrupt? Mark going from the left side of my screen to the right side of my screen. But that keeping up with the Joneses, we're responsible for our own success. And sometimes we put success to be defined by other people, and that creates a little bit of a challenge. And we'll start to blend this as we progress through today into the world of sales, and how do we maybe look a little bit more abundant, which is going to create better sales outcomes. Kevin, anything you want to chime in with here?
I'm good with we've kind of got it. I think.
Well, I would add one more dimension to this, Dave. Actually,
Sure.
this whole notion of a vibe. It's pretty well studied, I think, in the research, but people give off a vibe, and it's important for both leadership and sales because like when you're a leader, Harvard Business Review had a really good piece years ago called Connect and Lead. And, their research found the number one thing that the people wanted from their leaders was warmth, because that meant they could trust them. Warmth is a vibe. People rise to your level of expectations. It's a vibe. And so people always talk about behaviors, emotions, feelings. There is a vibe, real, and you give it off. And if you're envious of somebody, they're going to feel it. They're going to immediately feel that. You're not going to make a strong connection. If you have a feeling that, oh, this customer's an idiot, they're going to feel it, and you're never getting a sale with them. And people
Going
pick
back
it
to
up.
old.
And
Go ahead. I'm
and
sorry.
people pick it up. I mean, we're wired to pick this up. Humans are the strongest sensor, period. Anywhere. It's not a survey and assessment. We are the sensor. We pick up all these micro expressions, vibes, body language. A lot of it is body language, and you can't hide it. When you believe something, you're going to transmit this. So these have a real effect.
That's one of the old things you talk about, old Sandler stuff, David, that Sandler used to call the Doberman principle. That we did, right? And I don't know if anybody knows Adobe, but Dobes are great dogs. And people we think that those that don't know Dobies think that they're mean, nasty dogs. They're not. If you're a dog lover, you go into a house with a Dobie, they just start wagging their stumpy little tail and come over and let you pet them. But if you're afraid of dogs, they react. They can tell, and we say they can smell the fear. And we humans, we can't always put the name on it so well, but we can smell when somebody doesn't like us, when someone's envious, all the things that Frank was talking about. He's dead on.
All those negative things, you have a negative thought or feeling, it's a negative vibe you're giving off. And
Absolutely.
deadly.
There's something else that's related is some of us are optimists, some of us are pessimists. And pessimism is a nasty thing. I know somebody who, can find the cloud in every silver lining, and that comes out. And you don't even want to be around them.
Oh, absolutely. It's people are attracted or repelled based on the vibe, positive or negative, that you're giving off. People are attracted to a positive vibe, a smile, laughter, jokes, that warmth, and they're repelled by the negative vibes, which is that pessimism and like, oh, it's gonna you know, not a cloud in the sky. I know it's going to rain.
But false optimism doesn't work either.
Yeah.
Agree.
You know, so we're in really a little bit of a mindset push here, but Mark, you just opened up. So what did you want to add in here?
Oh, you saw that? No,
I
I
don't
was just
I don't miss a thing, Mark.
I was just thinking out loud about that movie A Bronx Tale, where that guy his name is Mush because everything he bets on, and they don't even want to be near him because he's bad luck because everything he touches turns to mush. So I
There
just
you
thought
go.
of that out.
But think about it. I think there's a couple of real nuggets that are coming out here, and I don't want to pin this on anybody here. That's not the intention. Each one of us has a different approach to some of these things here, and part of getting better, improving our outcomes, getting into the place, that mindset that we want to be, is evaluating or assessing how do we respond to those situations. And again, we'll all be at different levels, but it's how do we consistently tick up to that next level where we believe that, you know, there is always a silver lining. Sky's the limit. And I don't want to, I'm with Kevin. I don't want to fake it, but I do want to get to a place where, you know, some of this stuff, this abundance mindset is really locked and loaded in what we're doing. Sometimes we don't always follow it. So if you look, can you guys see this slide, or is it really small on your end?
A little small.
It's a little small.
A little small? Yeah, because God knows I can't read it right now, so I'll just slide it over a little bit. Whoops.
Magic.
Yeah, that didn't work very well though. So let me this is the downside. I'm gonna stop my share for a second. This is the downside of using a Mac, because most of the people that I know that use a Mac that try to share screens or PowerPoints, it's not a very efficient or effective piece.
That's
Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So in relationships, so lacking the abundant mindset, and again, not pinning this on anybody. This may be somebody you know, but we want to be aware of it, and with others and with ourselves, so that we can improve, enhance what it is we're doing. So in relationships, jealousy, possessiveness, difficulty sharing, you know, whether it's time or attention, competition rather than collaboration. And we're not necessarily talking about personal relationships. We might be talking about work relationships. In personal growth, I'm going to come back to the career and finance in a second, but in personal growth, self-doubt. Oh, that's not going to work for me. Comparing and competition, you know, oh man, Kevin's killing, I'm never going to keep up with him. Or resistant to change. You know, think about it. As I was putting this together and doing some research on having an abundance mindset and making sure that I didn't steal everything that Bob had already delivered a few weeks ago, that resistance to change. And the one thing that came to my mind is people in Sandler training. And you know, maybe more for the trainers, but for the folks that are here, how long have you committed to Sandler? Some of you have been here for years. I mean, I think that resistance to change must not even be existent. It must be embraced. How do I get better? How do I learn from every situation? And then the general attitude. If your prospects sniff pessimism, negativity, complaining, if they sniff it, they are going to be less likely to want to do business with you. In career and finances, these things pop way out, especially the first two. The idea of hoarding money. We often now I don't know of everybody's sales situation here, like how your organization is set up, but I used to work in a large organization where every month everybody would sandbag some of their results for the following month. And Marty's smiling. So I don't know if anybody else has sandbaggers where they are, but why are we sandbagging?
They believe in
sandbagging because you don't-
limitations.
Hold on, Frank.
It's
And then
limited. Yeah.
Frank.
They believe the opportunities are limited. They can't do it the next month. So I'm going to sandbag.
Be able to do it. Yeah, Noel, what were you going to say?
I was going to say the same thing, that they just don't believe that they're going to be able to make up that sale or make up more money the following month. So they, save it so that they are starting the month off on a good foot.
Absolutely. And then this idea of the fear of failure. If we fear that we are going to fail, Dan, good morning, in different situations, we won't push ourselves out of our comfort zone. Now, you folks are here. Yeah, and again, I know everybody's name here, so it means that you've been around for a while. But we're teaching you to do things to push you out of your comfort zone. So that fear of failure's got to be pushed way down. So we're probably operating way above that line of, silver lining, we can do better. There's opportunity to grow and get to the next level. Let me hit the pause button. Any thoughts or questions related to this? Anybody have any comments at this point? Marty, jump in here. Marty,
You're muted.
Come on. I hit the button too fast. Sorry.
Good job, Marty.
Yeah, well, whatever. Thank you very much. I know we're talking about this whole, the mindset and head trash and whatnot, and the easiest thing is to say that, oh, this isn't going to work, so I'm not going to try it. And I've shared emails with you, Dave, that where I send a close to file email or eaten by an alligator email, thinking this isn't going to work, and then I wind up, getting the meeting and getting the sale. So it's I think a lot of times it's just some people are just afraid of failing or afraid of trying new things, but they work. It's crazy, but they work.
And you've got to push yourself. You have to have that belief system, not only in yourself, but in Sandler, to push to that next level. It's interesting and a little bit I wouldn't say off topic, but sideways with Marty here, in that I will have clients, typically from larger organizations, where they didn't select, like probably most of you have selected to be here in training. When you've got a larger organization, sometimes people come as hostages. But I get a few folks every once in a while, and my fellow Sandler trainers would probably say that they've heard this as well. I only use Sandler in certain situations when I think I need it.
Ooh.
And it's like, well, A, it's like what? But B, like where? I don't always use the upfront contract. But when I do, it's come on, you've got to break out of your comfort zone. So think about Kevin's like shaking his head. Kevin must have never heard that, or
Yeah, I always said I had three kinds of clients. Those that love Sandler and they turn it on when they walk into a prospect's office and they turn it off when they get back in the car. Others who turn it on at 9 o'clock in the morning and turn it off at 5 o'clock. And others that have figured out that you just turn it on and you live it. And the ones that figure out that it's all human relation skills and that it's a way to live your life, pick it up faster, do better, excel more, grow more, make more money, and have better relationships at home.
Yeah. Yeah. So, someone was jumping in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, sometimes we let our own thoughts and feelings about the value of something interfere with us selling it. Like, so we might love what we do, but we might say, I would never pay that kind of money for that kind of service, right? So we let our own thoughts and feelings and judgments interfere with how we're presenting it to our prospects and our clients.
Yeah. Scott, great point. And think about it. Think about our mindset on as our deals get larger and larger and larger. Kevin challenged, I think, all of us at the end of the year with goal setting. And think about your big, Kevin, I'm going to get it wrong, but think about your biggest deal. Now double it. And my head went, yeah, that sounds reasonable. Then Kevin said, well, double that again. And then I think you might have even said double that again. And it's now, exponentially larger. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a second. Do I have the capacity to get there? Am I real? Am I feeling like I can deliver something like that. I think we all can test this. The phrases that are up here are people that typically, again, we've got to figure out how do these blend into our day-to-day. So I love Kevin's comment. Sandler is 24/7. That's when it starts to sit well. It's not pick and choose when I'm going to use it. We know it's human relations. Think about some of these lines up here, though, and we're going to talk about these later on. No one will buy from me today. I'm not good enough to close this deal. I can't handle this objection. Competition is better. This is hard. I'm not making enough sales. Whether it's these specific statements or some element of them, we've got to be careful not to let these drive how we're communicating to ourselves. We've got to look for opportunity on how to shift some of these messages, and we'll come back to that in a little while and talk about ways maybe to reframe our thoughts to get better outcomes.
I think a lot of these are self-handicapping. You know, people who don't think they can need to protect their ego. And they want to make sure that when they don't achieve the objective, they had already stated that, oh, wow, you know, they gave me the worst territory. No one could ever hit that number in this territory. They could do the I told you so. It's not me. And that's self-handicapping. And you see that a lot.
Yep. Absolutely. Love that term. Self-handicapping, self-limiting beliefs. And again, we got to check ourselves for this one.
And sometimes these beliefs are given to us. I had you can't make this up. They were a prospect. They never became a client for a number of reasons. But the sales manager would say to his team in a sales meeting, listen, I know our competition makes a better product than we do. I know that they sell it cheaper than we do. And I know that their salespeople are more talented, better trained than you are, but go out and try. And it's hard to make that up, but it's a true story.
There you go. There you go. So I just dropped into, and Kevin, thank you for jumping in there for a second without any request. I just put into the chat a wheel. Now, there is a probability that this wheel is not in perfect alignment the way that I'd like it to be, because I am a Mac user, so it gets converted over to Word. So fingers crossed that it's relatively close. If not, we can send it out as a PDF. And for those of you that have been around with me for a while, we like to do this a couple of times a year. In the world, whoops, I'll slide this over. This is what the wheel should look like. In the world of establishing our mindset, these are the different areas of focus that we should look at. So we've kind of talked about it in the world of sales a little bit, maybe in our personal lives. But these are probably the 8 categories. And what's crazy is I actually been doing some research on this for several weeks, knowing that today was going to be my day. It perfectly aligns with the Sandler wheel. So it's not as if Dave Trapani or what I was looking up came up with 8 new things. I did get the 8, but they match up exactly with what David Sandler said we should be measuring. So in the world of business, having a self-limiting belief, is our business going to get there? The spiritual, actually, Steven Zeiger's on today. Spiritual isn't necessarily about being religious. It's also maybe about giving back to the community, doing good things, donating your time. It has a lot more meaning than probably what it looks like right there. In our family, health and wellness. So all of these categories, we can have self-limiting beliefs. Now, Scott Bliss, I know Scott pretty well. Scott works out all the freaking time. And by the way, it is showing. So think about health and wellness. Oh, Mark's chomping at the bit here. Think about health and wellness. I think you unmuted, so I know. But so I go to the gym, and by the way, I could always do better, especially nutritionally, is what my trainer said this morning, the woman that was running our class. So that was a little bit of a not okay moment for me. Like, she's like, if I could just get you on the nutrition path, you'd be doing awesome. I'm pretty good there. But trainers are consistently saying to us, it's your mind over your body. If you don't mind doing it, your body will follow along. Whether it's additional push-ups, extra weight, extra time, faster speeds, you name it. We cap ourselves in those moments. So self-limiting beliefs are happening in all these different areas for us. And it's not just about focusing in on sales, it's about looking at the better good for ourselves. And if I can improve in one area, might those other areas come along for the ride? So Mark, were you chiming in or you just
No, I was just listening.
You were telling us that you're not going to go to Chick-fil-A based on my health and wellness. That's the shift. All right. So I put into chat this document. We're gonna put you out in if someone can do my breakout rooms of 2 people. We're gonna give you 5 minutes to get started. You guys know I love to do these types of checklists. What I'd love for you to do is actually just with one individual in your room, identify one area where you know you don't have to follow the directions on the worksheet. The worksheet is yours. Pick one area where you go, you know what? This is the one area that I believe I need to open up my abundance mentality. I can do better. And maybe talk about what that means to you with your partner in the room. We're not going to ask for any feedback when we come back. We'll keep moving. But for starters, just pick one area where you say, you know what, this is the one I want to do a little bit better in for myself. So 5 minutes in that breakout room, no group lead, just a little bit of accountability and getting the ball rolling here. Anything that I need to clarify as we start to send you out to that breakout room? So Bob, I think you're going to set up the breakouts.
Yeah, for that many, I'm just going to let the computer do it.
Okay, and then the only thing I would say, Frank might not be there. I don't know if Frank is on or.
You mean me?
Oh, you're okay. You might. I was gonna say he might be in the road. So. Are you good?
Most of them have. Most of them have 2. There's a couple with 3 just because of the numbers.
All right, and we'll keep it to 5 minutes really to stay on point with the time here.
All right, we're back recording. We'll be back in a minute.
All right. It was funny when you sent the breakout rooms, you're like, I'll let it do automatically. It sent to all of us.
Yeah,
Guys.
That was good. It evened out. Mark, what's happening?
What's up? You guys remember the most interesting man in the world and those commercials?
Yeah.
Oh,
The Dos Equis commercial.
Yeah.
When opportunity knocks and no one's home, opportunity waits.
There you go.
I don't know. That's what just popped into my head.
Always positive thoughts, right? That's
right. That's it.
Dave, that was really short.
Yeah, it's always short.
No, I feel like I needed like another 20 minutes.
Oh, well, listen.
Mini therapy sessions.
I know.
Hey, listen, I was with Dan, so if it felt really long with Dan, so.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Just kidding. You know, I write down, like, I try to make an estimate. You never know. It's someday we'll get it right. Well, someday we'll get it right. Hopefully this is helpful. And again, you know, it's I have a glass back behind me. It's, you know, glass half full, glass half empty. And you can only be the half full portion. It's got a piece of glass within it that you can't go below it's always half full. And it's a good reminder of really what this conversation is about and hopefully challenging ourselves. So I'm glad that a couple of folks said it was too short because that means hopefully some good things are coming out. But what does it take to start to shift our mindset? What do we think about Sandler? Like, what is Sandler? What's that one thing that Sandler gives us that helps us shift our mindset that we got to check in?
You know, I think it's a choice. I think you have to choose to do it. It has to be something that you decide that I'm going to have a mindset shift and that it's something you work on every day. Like I have a sign in my bathroom that says choose joy. You know, and I feed it into my child all the time. Like, I'll tell him, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. Like, you have to believe in yourself. Choose joy. Like, feed, you know, what wolf is going to be the wolf that wins? It's the wolf that you feed, right? The good wolf, the bad wolf. And it's funny, at 6 years old, if I say something to him like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, like, he'll look at me and put my words back on me. Like, mommy, what do you mean? You can do anything you put your mind to. So I feel like it's something that you have to, it's like a conscious effort. Like, you have to constantly, you know, choose to feed the good wolf, go to the positivity and instead of being negative, you know, choose joy, make a conscious decision that you're going to change your mindset and then work on it every day.
Yeah.
You asked what does Sandler have, and my mind went to like a system. Sandler has like a system, right?
We do have a system, yeah, and actually, Mark, you're hitting that the direction. But Noel, there's a Sandler rule, and I might need somebody to jump in and help me. Sandler rule, I forget the number. You can only perform.
You do that on purpose, aren't you? Because you want one of your clients to rescue you.
Worse, I need someone to rescue me here. You can only perform,
and we're choosing not to do it.
You guys suck.
Are you really struggling? Are you really struggling, or are you doing dummy curve?
I really can, but I want someone else to say it. I've been doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, you can only perform in a manner in which you see yourself conceptually.
Yeah. So we've got to put that into place. Thank you. I did write it down just so I didn't forget it, because I usually discombobulate that one. But we've got to check ourselves in those different areas. Are we really pushing ourselves to another limit? You know, when we watch other people succeed. By the way, I love, and I think if we walk away with this, what Kevin said earlier, you know, looking at that gratitude when somebody wins or somebody performs well, and I think Lyle even chimed in on this. We should be happy for that person, and can I learn something from that person? If I can consistently do that, boy, might I be in a better position? And Mark, you're spot on. We got to process. BAT, baby. And that's feeding the wolf, and that's, you know, it all ties into this behavior, attitude, and technique. What am I doing, you know, attitudinally, from a practice standpoint, from a technique standpoint, to consistently move myself to that next level? And you know, there are some, you know, obviously we're gonna shift into some Sandler techniques that maybe make us feel a little bit uncomfortable. But there's also some techniques that, you know, Noelle has the sign in her bathroom. You know, others of us, maybe we run into a situation and we have these little reminders that say, hey, be happy for that individual. Don't be envious. But we've got to start to make some sort of shift in our behavior, attitude, and technique, so that if we see ourselves not living in the world of abundance and really self-limiting, or I think Frank's term is even better. Frank, you call it self-handicapping, right?
Yeah, self-handicapping is a very specific aspect of a self-limiting belief.
Okay. You know, are we minimizing what we can actually achieve? And again, in all those different areas, because I can assure you, you get one of those areas going in the right direction, we're going to be awesome. So if we go back to this screen here, you know, maybe one of the tactics we can use is how we reframe things. No one's going to buy from me. I'm not confident in my pitch. I'm afraid of rejection. And these are lined up. Let me just drag this out just a hair here. But no one will buy from me today. I'm excited to connect with new potential customers. I can't handle this objection. Objections are opportunities to provide additional information. Reframing some of our thoughts when they occur, and we'll send this out. I'll give it to Bob, and he'll get it organized, or we'll make sure it goes out if anybody wants it. This is too hard. With each challenge, I become stronger. So there are word choices. There are things that we can put into place to improve our outcomes. So I'm going to hit the pause button. We're at 9:31, and I want to start to make a transition into some Sandler elements. But for starters, does anybody have any thoughts, questions, anything they want to chime in here with?
I have something, Dave.
Sure.
And I have no idea if this is even what you're moving into next. But we all start things for specific reasons, and then a lot of times it goes by the wayside. Nutritional cleanses, diet fads, this, that, whatever. And I think what it all boils down to when we think about an abundance mindset is it starts with our why. So you had made mention that, you know, with me specifically, going to the gym all the time, a lot of weight loss over the last several months, and my why completely changed. Because I've worked out my whole life, but I didn't start intensifying it until my why changed. And my why was that back in a few months ago, my blood sugars were approaching pre-diabetic levels. And I don't want to be on insulin. I don't want to do any of that. I want to be around for my grandkids. I want to do all that stuff. So that was my why, and that's my driving force. And every time I feel like not going to the gym, or I want that extra slice of pizza, or I want that stupid ice cream sundae, which tastes so good, right? The Dairy Queen Snickers Blizzard is amazing, by the way. I go back to my why, and that is what completely drives me. So for everything that we want to do, we have to figure out the why. Frank's why, he picked health and wellness. Frank's why is 12-week-old child, right? Now he realizes, holy shit, I got to do things differently now. So it all goes back to the why.
Yeah.
You know.
Ed, were you chiming in here?
No.
Oh, okay. Marty?
No, I was not.
Okay.
Me? No.
Were you gonna say something?
As Nicole's working out. Well.
Well.
All right. All right. Scott, when you were talking about the Blizzard at Dairy Queen, Snickers and stuff, I was thinking maybe we should just put just to the side and let's just take a break and head over to Dairy Queen.
I wasn't working out, Marty. I had to go give my chocolatas the blueberries and strawberries that I wouldn't eat, but they're not bad yet. So in between the raindrops.
There you go, there you go. All right. So let's jump in and let's move ahead here. About 20 plus minutes to go through this. And you know, again, we're talking about a lot of different areas prior to this. Now I want to move it really into some Sandler tactics. And I think Frank gave us a great term earlier, the vibe. What's the vibe that we're giving off when we show up for a meeting? And there really is probably a couple of different vibes, or more than a couple, that we could give off. You know, it could be a vibe of abundance. And by the way, when we show up to a sales meeting with an abundant vibe, what do you think our prospects are thinking?
I want to be a part of it.
I want to be a part of that. And how do you get an abundant vibe? Typically, got to have a full
pipeline.
You got to have a full pipeline. And there's a lot of times, and maybe Kevin might want to chime in here, but there's a lot of times that we're working with sales folks and they don't have a full pipeline. They're going, well, Dave, it's easier for Trevor to do that because his pipeline's always full. And I struggle doing that. But we've got to have a mindset that there's plenty of opportunity. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. I've got to show up with that vibe of abundance, because the moment I show up with a vibe of desperation, that prospect is going, don't necessarily need to do business with that individual. We're also probably discounting the heck out of our product at that moment. Kevin, I don't know if you want to chime in on that statement.
I'm in agreement on all of it. You know, it's yeah. We've all been in slumps and we've all been on a roll, right? If you've been in sales for more than 5 minutes, you've had both of those experiences, and they're real. And when I was talking to Kevin about this when we were in the breakout, and when you're in a slump and you're going up to into a meeting thinking, how am I going to screw this one up? It's going to show. It's absolutely got to show, and you've got to totally convince yourself that this is the one that takes you out of the slump.
Yeah.
You know, I always said you've got to be Derek Jeter. Sorry for those of you from Boston. You got to be Derek Jeter. You know, a career 315 hitter who knew that he was going to fail 2 out of every 3 times he went to bat. But there was never one at bat that he said, this is the one I'm going to strike out. Every single at bat, even if he was in a slump, he believed this is the one I'm going to get the big hit. And you've got to be Derek Jeter on a sales call.
There you go. So how do we become Derek Jeter? By the way, I'm a Mets fan, so I'm not a Yankee fan at all. But I do like
and someday the Mets will get someone like Derek Jeter.
Someday, but I do, if you're a sports fan, I think you have to like Derek Jeter. And I think it's a great analogy, Kevin, for where we're headed. So in the chat, I put another document out there. We're going to set up 4 breakout rooms. In each one of those rooms, it's going to literally follow the path. Room 1 is going to do setting up the appointment. Room 2 is going to do first meeting. Room 3 is the closing. Room 4 is the after the deal is closed. I'm going to explain what's going into this document. In each one of these, we can dial up the heat. We can dial up that system, that technique, that attitude that says we've got a full pipeline. So if I'm going out on a first meeting or setting up a first meeting with Ed, and Ed goes, hey, by the way, I need the business desperately. And Ed goes, hey, Dave, I can meet tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'm going to dial up the heat and say, you know what, Ed? Not available tomorrow. Can we push this out to next week? So I'm going to get way behind the pendulum here. That might be an example of something that we can do when we're setting up a first meeting. When we're at the first meeting, an example of that might be opening up the meeting and saying, hey, Kevin, you know what? Very few of the people that I actually sit down with will become or qualified to become my client. Just want you to be aware of that. So there might be a higher probability that you'll say no to me today, or I'll say no to you today. That is dialing up the heat. That is showing that I have an abundance mindset going into these meetings. So in each breakout room, what I love for you guys to do, and we're going to give you 7 minutes to do this. 4 breakout rooms. Room 1 is setting up. Room 2, first meeting. Room 3 is closing. Room 4 is this is your existing client expansion, client management. What are some tactics and or strategies that you can use that are in that Sandler arsenal that give you the feeling that my pipeline is full, that you look abundantly full with opportunity? So Bob, if you wouldn't mind setting up the rooms in that manner, appreciate it. And is there any clarification? Oh, he's very quick. So no time for clarification. You guys are out. I think my instructions were okay, right?
Yeah, I didn't send Dave, Scott, and you this time, unless you
Okay.
want.
Mark, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
And here comes the rest of the crew.
We're here. We're here.
All right.
Ed, that was a cliffhanger, though. I want to hear how this rest of the story.
Baby, I haven't seen you. Can I see the baby?
You have to call me baby.
No, the baby, Dan, your baby.
Yeah, little Loretta. She's 2 months old.
Hi,
She liked Sandler so much last time. I had her come back.
All right.
So
Get started early with
precious.
Sandler.
I'm going to pin you. Yeah, there's a little.
That's what I did.
Cool.
Sorry,
who's
I
his
see.
trainer? Does Dan get charged now double or 1.5 because he's got an extra?
We're figuring that one out.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder.
There you go. Maybe it's
Trying to
like
teach
1
her,
to 12 every month. It increases until the kid's a year old. You know.
As she can verbalize things better, it gets more expensive.
No, then she'll show up. Just make sure she doesn't show up and throw up. You know.
Hey, that was good. Dave, where's your music?
You know, I'm a second behind on that one, so
yeah, you are.
I don't know. Let's see. Hang on. Let's go here.
Dave, are you on an iMac?
I am on a Mac. Yeah.
No, an iMac, like a big guy, or are you on a desktop or a
Mac Mini with giant screen.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, we're not selling on IT services, Nicole. You know, calm down.
Well, because he keeps saying that like it's harder on a Mac, and I'm thinking trackpads are so easy just to like zoom in, zoom out. But if he has a Mac Mini, then it's really whatever his mouse is.
I'm only messing with you.
Sometimes it's the operator, Nicole.
Yes, it's a Trapani issue. It's not a Mac issue, it's a Trapani issue.
Yeah, Dave, I've been a Mac user for years. I have none of the problems you're describing. Sorry.
Dave has what's called a picnic.
I've mastered becoming the victim, Ed. That's the move here.
That's
you
the
go.
move.
No, now
That's
we
the
know
move.
to get you a little trackpad, and then all your
And Mac
problems will go
users
away.
are like a cult. I've never heard of one that was like apologetic.
You need, Dave, you need this. We'll talk about this next time. I'll come early. Okay, it's
All
called
right.
the
He's
Stream
got
Deck.
one of those. He's got that.
I
Oh,
have one,
God.
Ed, I'm going to grab you because I have one and I'm not very good. But this is for Ed. This is how good I use the Stream Deck. And now let's go into Marty. You're going to say something.
I could play that.
There, Marty, bring a drum kit next time.
All right.
Rule number one: when setting the appointment, what are things that you're doing? This is on the phone, setting the appointment with your prospect that make you look like you've got a full calendar, that abundance mindset.
So I think that was our room. I believe we discussed what, upfront track?
Strong
Yeah.
UFC, yeah.
You were room one, yes.
Right. We talked also about third-party stories, if we need to interject one to help get that appointment.
Okay.
It's not a Sandler technique, but it's stick to the process, which is part of Sandler, right? Like don't deviate from the setting the appointment process that you've created.
Yep.
Internally.
What else?
We said don't show up and throw up. That was not a do.
Yep.
But,
I would put that into the first meeting. Actually, I'll drop that down here.
See, I often get in the discovery or the let's set up a call. Like when I'm talking to someone, they want to start talking about demos and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, we'll get to all that, but let's see if you're even a good fit,
Yeah.
So that's why we put it up there too.
Marty had one.
Yeah, don't accept the first time and date that's thrown out. Assume busier than you are and say, oh, geez, that date and time's not going to work, or I have another call right before that bounces up against that. Is there any way we can move it 30 minutes, or just to, hey, I have a call right before that, and so can I move it out 30 minutes, or can we move it out 30 minutes or an hour?
We can say I'm giving a speech that day at your industry association. Make it seem like you're the thought leader in the space. I mean, you can't fly on that one. You got to be able to do.
Steve, I love that. I have a client that says, you know what? I have a finalist presentation right at that same time. Not going to be able to make it. Need to find a different time. They're telling them that we're so busy selling deals. It's not true. Again, it's a little bit of a push, but so many salespeople go, hey, Nicole wants to meet with me tomorrow. I should jump on it. Now, you know what? Mindset. If you push this off to next week, they're going to think you're busy. We're going to lose Kevin in a moment. They're going to think you're busy. I want to do business with busy people. How about jumping down to the folks' room 2? We're going to move a little bit quick here because Bob's got a video teed up that we're going to plug in a moment. But for the group that was doing the first meeting, what are some things you do?
Yeah, I'll jump in. And a lot of it was echoes of the same thing. It's like basically creating, equal business stature. Don't go in like, kind of begging for us, and reiterate what was stated in the upfront contract about the time of this. Do we still have all these options available? And just stating, hey, look, again, I'm not sure if we're going to be a fit for you here. A lot of this is going to be discovery to determine if we're even in a position to work together. And does it even make sense for that matter for us to work together? And you know what? No is okay. If it sounds like at some point here that this is not going to work for you, then you're welcome to say no. Hope you feel the same way if I do as well.
100%. And I love that, maybe early on in the sale first meeting, more emphasis on the no. More emphasis that a no is good. As we progress down the sales process, then we maybe open up that door a little bit more that, hey, yes is probably better than a no. But, I would challenge us. Are we doing these things in a consistent manner in our sales calls? How about when we're going, we're heading through the sales process? We're now into that second meeting. What are some things maybe that we're doing, or as we move to the close?
Well, that was our room. We talked about saying, one thing we brought up was, it's like scheduling, like, oh, I'm not sure when you're going to need this done by, but our schedules are really, filling up, and it might be something depending on when the contract comes in that gets pushed out by a couple months. Just to kind of create that we're so busy, work with us now type thing.
Yeah. And by the way, super powerful. Hey, listen, I'm not sure what your timing is, but we're pretty tied up for the next 30, 60 days. So if we want to hold off maybe till September, October, that's cool. And see how they respond to that. In some cases, people will say, yeah, that's fine. In some cases, they go, can you do it any sooner? And then you're back to the, well, let me check my calendar and let me see what we can do for you. I know it's a little bit of gamesmanship, maybe a little bit of an unfair advantage, but that's what we're talking about. You've got to have that belief system that it's going to work. Other things, Noelle, that came up in your room.
Meg had a really cool thing that she does where she wouldn't, like, it's kind of like a give and take. Like, I'm not going to give, and I don't know, she can probably speak to it better, but like, I'm not going to give you my full quote unless you give me a verbal response that I'm the person you want to go with.
Yeah, upfront contract.
I started doing that in public bid situations because otherwise they just kind of use and abuse the vendors.
And then we just had a couple of the other stuff too that was already mentioned up on screen, like validation, making sure that we are hearing the pain. Okay. And then in room 4, how about just one thing that you guys came up with, if anybody wants to share?
Sure, that was our group. We used third-party stories a lot. And then negative reversal. And then staying behind the pendulum.
Okay. And any examples of these or more about the tactic themselves?
Well, we had examples for all of them, but like scarcity of resources was another one that we also started talking about. So it's like, please go ahead and get that quote back to us so that way we can ensure that we get it done by your deadline, right? Because it's taking our team about 4 to 6 weeks to schedule out.
Yeah.
So stuff like that with existing clients.
Nice, Nicole. And what I'll do is I'll put together some of the notes. I'll get some additional feedback and blow this out and give it to Bob so that we can all distribute it and get it. There's more that we can add here. We're moving pretty quickly, but it is consistently using those Sandler tactics. And only with it, with that feeling of a full pipeline, that abundance mindset, will we really be able to optimize what it is we're doing. So we're going to wrap up. I know we're going to lose a couple of folks. Bob's got an awesome video that he wanted to share, which kind of ties in to where we're closing out today's session. And then we'll pick back up next week.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need with full time.
For those that don't know, Michael Jr.'s break time is exactly that. In the middle of my stand-up comedy, I stop doing it, sit down, and just kick it with the people. Check it out. Just some random dude, I don't even know who he is. We just start kicking it, and look what happens.
Let me talk to the brother right there. Yeah. What's your name, bro?
Daryl.
I'm gonna need you to slow down with all that, bro. For real, you scaring the white people. You can't do that, Daryl.
I'm sorry, bro.
You scaring me too, though. Wow. Well, what do you do for a living, Daryl?
I work at Oak Ridge Military Academy. I'm the music director there.
Musical director at Oak Ridge Musical Academy. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But you got a deep voice, man. I would not want to get you mad. Jonathan, come here. You're like, oh, snap. 9 Jonathans show up. It's amazing, dude. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Let me hear. We didn't plan this, just so y'all know. We didn't plan this at all. I'm just randomly talking. Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying?
All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound but now I see.
Goodness gracious.
There you go. Ridiculous. Dude is just sitting in the audience with all of this skill, all this talent that I don't even know about. Wonder if you got some skills and some talents that folks don't know about that you kind of holding on to. Boom. There you go. Couple things I need you to do. Like for real. Think you just gonna laugh and I don't want you to do nothing? That's not how. This is give and take. It's not take and take. Need you to subscribe. Don't just be watching the video just to watch the video. Subscribe. Tell some friends
about it. And
Scott, what's the message from that video?
The message from that video that he gets to at the end is, when you know your why, your what becomes more impactful. Right? So why do you go to the gym? Because I don't want to be diabetic. I don't want insulin. I don't want to shorten my lifespan. Right? That's my why. That's my driving force. You want to make your bonus. Why? You want a pool in the yard. You want to go on family vacation. All these things. When you know your why, it makes the what that much better.
All right, we'll take these tools and hopefully we can dial it up to that next level in any one of those categories that you see fit. And have an awesome week, everybody.
Take care, folks. Enjoy. Bye.
Guys, bye-bye.